My people, the lawyer don't open their bonbon. Make una come hear so kind tori from the lawyer. E don't happen, e don't shelele. This one not be small thing. Kai, I see the reason why they run kitty kitty, they run kata kata. On top of waiting lawyer talk. Hand don't meet them like this, my people.
The
Whahala,
law
not
of
too much.
Nigeria can actually have a second wife. I know this question will surprise many of you because we have all taken it for granted that if you married under the customary law, you are free to have a second wife or to engage in polygamy. It had been something we have discussed extensively, and we just generally tell people that if your marriage was contracted strictly under the customary law of Nigeria, that you can have a second wife. But we've looked at that issue on many occasions, and we have developed some serious doubts as to whether you can have a second wife. The best way to describe the problem is to remember the play, Shakespeare's play called Merchant of Venice, where the creditor was entitled to a pound of flesh, but realized that he wasn't entitled to any drop of blood, and was asked to take his pound of flesh without spilling a drop of blood. It then became clear to him that he could not have a pound of flesh as he thought. Likewise, if you think you can have a second wife because you're married under the customary law, let me tell you a number of obstacles that you may experience. First and foremost, what about the right of the first wife? Does your right to a second wife extinguish the rights of the first wife? And what are the rights of the first wife? You know, your right to a second wife is something emanating from customary law. But your first wife or your wife has a number of rights that are fundamental and are based in the Constitution. For instance, do you have the power to impose a stranger on your first wife? Do you have the power to force your first wife to share a kitchen, to share a bathroom, to share a bedroom, to share a living room with another woman? Does your first wife have the right to peace, to privacy in her home? Maybe she does. And those rights are not really subject to your approval. What about raising her children? Does the first wife have the right to avoid any adult associating with her children? Yes, she does. Every parent has the right to control whom her children mixes with. The only person, the first wife, the only person a parent cannot exclude from associating with her children is the other parent. And your second wife is not a parent to the children of the first wife. So the first wife may very much determine that she doesn't want your second wife to speak to her children, to be with her children in the same space, or to have any influence or control over her children. She has those rights. So when you begin to think of your right to have a second wife, always consider the rights of the first wife. In DPA, we are getting increasingly concerned about the right of the first wife, and we are willing to defend the rights of the first wife in ways that have never been done in this country before. we are willing to say that the man really doesn't have the right to bring in another woman into the household and force the second woman on the first woman. You're going to see us make this argument. You're going to see us argue that the rights of the first wife are in the Constitution, they are fundamental in nature, and that your right to a second wife is not fundamental in nature. It's not based on the Constitution. In any event, that right cannot override the rights of the first wife. Rights to privacy, rights to family life, rights of relative to her children, and all those things. So, if you are seriously considering a second wife, you may be encountering difficult arguments down the line, and BPA is willing to lead that argument. Of course, we would want a system where these issues are harmonized by law, by legislation, and the confusion we have today in Nigeria family law system, we would want them clarified and sorted out. But insofar as that has not been done through legislative process, BPA is willing to seek clarification through the judicial process. So do not be surprised if you hear where we take up the argument that you can't have a second wife even though you're married statutorily. Under the customary law. Even though you're married under the customary law and otherwise you thought you were entitled to a second wife, we want to say, no, you can't. Because the rights of the first wife, very fundamental rights of the first wife, limits your rights to a second wife. Bear that in mind, is going to come up very soon. Thank you.
My people, una don't see how lawyer of May Edochie, Hopun Juju Austin, Yul Edochie Bombo, he analyze them one after the other. Hey, I see the reason why May Edochie take his own stand onto this matter. He say he no dey give chance, he no dey green. For wetin Yul Juju do am no be small thing. I dey like when person know im rights. A lot of women dey suffer wuru for their marriage because they no know wetin they wan do, they no know where they wan start from unto wetin their man don do them. But our very queen May Yul Edochie stand and ground say no matter the begging, no matter how you wan do, because wetin God give her no let am put for one place. She talk am say she no gree, she no dey accept am. Say make you either choose Juju or her. No be small thing o, my people, for this matter.